Hello and welcome to Shifting the Atmosphere with Federica, where I talk to ordinary people doing some extraordinary things. I'm your host, Federica Peterson. I'm a certified executive and life coach, business mentor, best-selling author, and adjunct professor. I'm here to partner with you in your transition journey to help build your confidence, elevate your thinking, and shift your perspective to empower you to cast a new vision and redefine what's possible. Or in other words, shift your atmosphere. Our topic for today is happiness is a habit. Did you realize that happiness is habit forming? Well, it is. What do you do when life doesn't turn out the way you thought, and now you're in a place that you never prepared for? Well, that's certainly the story of my guest today, and she made a choice to be happy. It certainly wasn't overnight. It was an intentional choice and a process that she committed to. Instead of being paralyzed by the things that can overwhelm, she chose to develop a habit of being happy. Her journey led her to a new passion of truly understanding the power of happiness. Through her research of habits and positive psychology, she developed a path for others to discover the power of happiness through her happiness workshops and in her book, Happiness is a Habit. Michele Phillips is the president of Key Performance and the author of Happiness is a Habit, simple daily rituals that increase energy, improve well-being, and add joy to every day. Michele's professional experience spans over 20 years facilitating engaging workshops, seminars, and coaching programs with Fortune 500 companies around the globe. Michele specializes in increasing happiness and individual performance in the workplace. By utilizing the latest findings of neuroscience, habits, and positive psychology, Michele shares the formula for happiness and success in an enjoyable, enthusiastic manner. Michele's boundless energy will instantly grab you, and her can-do attitude is delightfully infectious. Even better, her message is so practical that it can be applied and utilized immediately.
Michele, welcome to the show. I'm so happy to have you.
Hello, Federica. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. So, rite of passage for everyone that comes on the show, you need to tell us your journey, Michele. So how did you get where you are today in your journey?
Oh, that's a big first question. It's an evolution, right, for all of us. Every one of us is on our journey, and life is a test. It's like an algebra test, right? If you don't pass it the first time, you have to take it again. So I think that's what life does for us, and we are tested throughout our life, and one thing leads to another, and eventually, hopefully, you pass the test and you get to the next level. So for me, I had been, awakened, let's say, is the word I like to use, in my early 30s when I just found the positive psychology and emotional intelligence and all these new teachings that were always around. They're kind of wisdom of the ages, but I opened my mind up to them. And they really shifted how I thought about my life and the power I had in my life. So for many years, I just studied all these different topics. And then after 9/11, mid-2000s, when my marriage fell apart and my business fell apart, 2008, the market crashed my car, crashed the market, life, you wake up one day and life, you find yourself in a place you didn't expect to be. And that's when I realized the lessons and the things I had been studying, because they were fascinating to me, were my oxygen. They were my, really serious power tools in my life skills toolbox.
I like it. So let's back up a little bit. Tell me how you got introduced to the positive psychology. How did that get you hooked?
So for me, I've always been a naturally positive person, optimistic person. I had a woman tell me early in my career to take my pom-poms and go someplace else. And it's been one of those things where I started to stifle it a little bit. And then when I found the field of positive psychology, it's more than just putting on rose-colored glasses. There's actual tools and skills that have now been scientifically proven that help people get through the rough times. And this was like, a hallelujah moment for me, right? It was like, well, these are things I already knew and I believed, and I'm intuitive. I didn't need the scientific data, but now it's there. Now it just was like a magnet. I was like, oh my God, someone actually proved that what I thought all along works.
Yes. Yes, because, what you were saying about that woman that told you to keep your pom-poms to yourself, that's just mean. But some people really look at people that are positive in a negative way. And I know that this is kind of your whole life journey now. And so why is that? Why would people look at being positive in a negative way? Because I've experienced that also. I think I'm in that pom-pom club with you.
Yeah, it's interesting, Frederica. It's kind of like, when I'm happy and you're happy, it's cool. But if I'm not happy, you just don't come near me with your happiness. What? And I think it's, some of it's fake, and I think people see through fake happiness. Some of it is people just aren't in a good space themselves. And I do believe that each of us is mirrors to each other. So I always say kind of what you don't like in someone else, what triggers an emotion in you is something unresolved in yourself that you have to look at. Yeah. So it's really taking that step back and saying, what is it about this person? Like, is it, because really it's what is it in me?
I love what you said, that we're really mirrors to each other. That explains a lot of different things, right? It's not even just the happiness piece. It could be when our defenses come up, or things that we're, sensitive about, and even how we relate to one another. That was powerful right there.
Oh, good. Because even when I'm coaching someone, as soon as someone gets defensive with me, and I know I've hit something.
Yes, that's
right. So it's like, okay, we have to be willing to look at it. And I think given what's going on in our world right now, that's the one thing we're so afraid to look. It's so much easier to place blame. Oh, there goes happy girl. She makes me sick.
Yeah.
Well, what is it about her that makes you sick? And I really had to own my happiness banner, and it took a while for me to own it and say, you know what, if you don't like it, I can't change who I am at my core. I can't stifle it anymore. Yep. And I want to help people rise up and realize that everyone can access this. It's not just something in me. It's something in everyone, and that's where the science comes in.
Yeah.
Because 40% of your happiness comes from what you do and what you think every day. 40%.
Wow. Isn't that amazing? 40%. What you do and what you say.
Yeah, so 50% is your genes, unfortunately or fortunately, depending on what kind of genes you got, right? So 50% they're in your genes, you can't make or break. But 40% is in what you do and what you think every day, and 10% are your circumstances, which you also have some control over, right? Where you live, where you work, who you're married to, conversations that you participate in. So to me, 50% of your happiness is in your control.
Yeah, that's powerful right there. Man.
And you have to really watch in my book, one of my habits is guide your thoughts. You can't control them all the time. They just pop in, they come out, but you have to guide them. Where are they leading you?
That's right. You don't let them, you will allow them to lead you, but you really need to be at the steering wheel to control. You can control that, right? That's
yes.
What I'm saying.
I think, Frederica, given what's going on in the world right now, whether, in the election, I can't help but bring it up. Whatever side you're on, 50% of us is 50% of us would have been unhappy no matter which way it went. Right? So that just tells me that 50% of our population is suffering no matter what.
I completely agree with you, Michele. Yeah.
And it's looking inside. Can we stop blaming and stop pointing fingers and look in our own eyes and say, do I know myself?
Yeah, absolutely. We are giving, as a society, one person too much control. No matter who that person was going to be, was going to be too much control over how we think, feel, and emote. And that, to me, is insanity. Why would you give that much control over your happiness, over your life to anybody? That can go for a whole lot of things. Could be in your relationship with your husband, with your boyfriend, with your girlfriend, with your sister, brother, aunt, niece, uncle. I mean, we can go down the gamut. But you should never give someone that much control, in my mind. I mean, when you look at it that way, you're giving your power away. It's almost like you're giving a good life away just because I don't know why that is.
Exactly, and that's why I want people to take their power back. Be a leader in your own life. Create your own happiness. Create your own reality. And that's why the habits in my book are really, at their core, I want to say they lead people back to themselves.
Yeah, wow.
Who are you at your core? Do you spend time in quiet reflection? And, because we kind of think happiness, that's the other thing we've learned in the research, is most people think happiness is outside of them. It's the next car. It's the next promotion. It's the next novel. It's the next marriage, I don't know, baby, you name whatever. Right. And those things in the research were proven to only make us happy for approximately 3 months. And then you go back to kind of your happiness set point, which is what you do and what you think every day.
Mm-hmm. Wow, that's interesting.
Yeah, it just fascinated me. I think when I earlier in my life, I say I was unconsciously happy. It just was by default, and now I'm consciously happy. And believe me, I'm not happy every day. I have ups and downs just like everyone. And it's like looking at them and saying, okay, if these, there's a great quote I just posted on Facebook the other day. There's a lot of negativity right now, no matter what side you're on. And it's like, you wouldn't sit in a bath of dirty water. So why sit with your negative emotions? Like, look at them, honor them, but then how do you move forward from them? That's right. Your power is in the present moment.
That's absolutely right. And you've absolutely had some things in your life that could have, you brushed over pretty quickly in the overview, but you've had your own set of trials. Somebody might listen to this and go, this girl hasn't experienced anything. But, you have.
Yeah, it's just, life just, my soulmate, the person I fell in love with who thought would, be that, the till death do us part person. Yeah. That started to crumble, and that was the most hurtful. I love this man. I still love this man, and I'll always love him, but not in the same way. But it was like this just reality that who I thought we were and what I thought we were was not to be. And again, that's something I think a lot of people, women especially, it's you have to own that power. Are you happy in your relationship? Yeah. There's a great question that I posed to myself. I think I read it in a book. I can't remember where, but the question was, would you want your daughter to be in a relationship like you are in? And my answer was no way. And it was like, well, if it's not good enough for your daughter, why is it good enough for you? So get out, Michele. So I had to get out of a relationship with a man who was not abusing me or cheating on me, or we just weren't connected anymore. Mm. So on paper, right, it looked okay.
Yeah.
And then, after I left him, again, of course, then the market crashed in 2008, and I'm living in my girlfriend's bedroom, and all my work dries up. I have no income. And I had some rental properties, and, of course, the tenants stopped paying me, and then I crashed my car into a good friend, which is even worse, right? I could, so it's just, but those are the wake-up calls in life. You either wake up or you could keep spiraling.
That's right. That's right. You made a choice. You made a conscious decision not to stay there.
And I remember sitting on the couch that day after, I totaled my car. I ran into a dear friend who was driving, and I'm not proud of my actions. I was looking at my iPod. That's why I crashed into him. The light turned red, and I wasn't looking, so I went flying into the back of him. His car was totaled. Mine was practically totaled. And I remember sitting on the couch that next morning at my girlfriend's house. Right? I'm out, not even living in my own home. I have no work. And it's like, okay, you have a choice right now. You can either keep going in the wrong direction, or you can look at these habits, right, these things that kept you sane, your support systems, the music you listen to, the books you read, the conversations you have, the fact that you take care of your body and your mind and your spiritual house, and you either have to go that route or you can go the other route and have a pity party.
Right. Absolutely. Going to the wine store, picking that up, and hanging out.
Been there, definitely. I saw it. It was like I used to be like a one glass of wine, a night. Then it was 2. Then it was like 3. Then it was getting up a little later in the morning, and it was so. There by the grace of God go I. It was so easy to see how you could start your habits spiraling you in the wrong direction.
Wow. And then, so that seems like it was your point where you discovered the power of that happiness.
Yeah, because I had already been kind of I was already working at it all the time, and I was like, God, my body is strong, but my heart is weak right now. Like, my resolve was like, you're hurt, you're lonely, you're just afraid, like, everything you believe is crumbling around you, but I knew my body was still strong, so I had to keep getting up every day and working it out and feeding it healthy food, and I knew my spiritual beliefs were strong, and I knew that there was a reason for me being in this place, so I had to continue my connection with God. I've never in my life gotten mad at God and said, why me, right? It's right. Whatever's happening to me is happening for me.
Wow. I love
and then it was like, so what are my habits? And my journaling, and I would journal, pages and pages of, sometimes it was fear, sometimes it was happiness, but that taking time with myself grounded me.
Mm-hmm.
I made a playlist. It was called Stay Strong, Girl. You know, it was every affirming, women's song from Helen Reddy to Alicia Keys to I don't even know who was on it, but it was just, at the time, we're going back.
Yeah.
Like, I just needed, and my support systems.
Right.
And these things could be things that are in your life on a habitual basis, on a regular basis, not just, because usually when things go bad, we go, I'll get back to working out when things get to normal. I'll start eating right when things get back to normal. Right now, I'm eating the burger and fries, and I'll get around to going but no, you need to do it when things aren't normal, when you are your lowest point, because it helps you get up quicker.
Yes. You know what? That's probably very true. That's very true. And I know that I could definitely relate to that. When things are going bad, give me all the comfort food that you can possibly put in my path, But to your point, all that does is really drain your energy. That literally makes you down and lethargic and just, to your point, keep you in that place. But if you're eating things that are healthy, it'll pull your energy up and everything will follow.
It's so true. And that's why I encourage people, and I use the term habits, happiness and habits, is that happy people don't have less problems. They just have better coping skills.
Yes.
When they fall down, they already have habits in place that you could be down for a day or so, whatever, depends, there's different levels of grief, right? But the minute you look at your habits, the minute I start to journal, I meditate, I pray, I go for a walk in the woods, I move my body, I can't stay in that stuck place anymore.
Yes.
It immediately helps lift me up.
That's awesome. I'm sure you're talking to somebody out here. I'm telling you, that is some good stuff, Michele. And there was something that you said in that, right? I love this. Whatever is happening to you is happening for you. And that brings me to my next question, which is, why is the relationship that you have with yourself so important in the happiness journey? Because I think you have to have a level of understanding of yourself to come to that realization. Whatever is happening to me is happening for me.
I'm so glad you asked this question. There's a great saying that, like, if I took a lemon right now and I started to squeeze it, what would come out of it? Lemon juice, right? Because what comes out of a lemon is what's in a lemon.
Correct.
When we get pushed and squeezed and tested, what comes out of us is what's in us.
Right.
So when we're angry and fearful and mean or whatever, I call it the bratty, my little brat comes out, right? And you have to be willing to look at that and see that if that's coming out of you, that's in you. And where is it coming from? And usually it's coming from past pain, past hurt, a memory of something, and it's not in the present moment. And I think the more people spend in self-reflection, and I'm actually hosting a gratitude circle at my house tonight, and I think my main point is to get people to take time with themselves, to spend time without electronics, without books, without anything. Just be present with yourself. And that, for some people, is very, uncomfortable.
Yeah.
But it's really when you get to know yourself better, you see that what's inside you. And then it's like anything. Once you see it, you can deal with it.
Right. That's true. Because if you keep burying it, it's not in your view, and you'll just continue to bury it until it manifests one day, which could be very ugly.
And if you're angry, if you're fearful, if you're right about it, where is that coming from? Why am I fearful? What's underneath that? Versus blaming somebody else, because I don't have control over anyone but myself.
Right. That's right. That's right.
So,
yeah.
I'm such a big proponent of telling people to meditate, go in the woods. I mean, I live on the Hudson River here in Rockland, and we have so many beautiful rail trails and areas that I know most of my neighbors have never been on. And it's like, just get into God's creation, get into the woods, go to the ocean, go someplace where you're just with nature and yourself.
Yeah. There's something about that connects you to your core, would you say?
Definitely, because I think we're part of it. I think man-made structures, while we have good intentions, are just that. They're man-made structures, and they vibrate at a different energy. When you get into, and again, the research, if I quote the research shows that, 15 minutes in the woods, your heart rate starts to lower, your stress goes down, you just almost become one with the trees. And, you call me a tree hugger or whatever, but that's a magic. That's a spiritualism. That's something that's greater than we are. And can't be described, but you'll know it when you feel it.
That's so true, Michelle. I would say I know two things that I can reference. One is I remember when I had gotten ill. I had a knee surgery or something. This was a few years back. And I was running so hard before I had that surgery, traveling here on and off of planes, and just crazy. And when I had that knee surgery, I had to sit. And I have a porch, and my porch is sits out in this park area. And I was sitting there one day, and I had seen a dandelion. And in my mind, going, oh, my God, a dandelion. I couldn't remember seeing a dandelion since I was a little kid. And I'm sure it had been around me, but I was moving so fast. And it literally took me to this place where to your point, all of that stress, all of the things that have been going on, it really kind of made me connect with nature when I saw that. And I just started looking at and discovering other things. And the other point to that is I know a lot of us can relate to the fact that, especially living in the Northeast, in the summer when we're sitting in the park, how that really relaxes you. Just sitting somewhere outside, whether it be at the beach or the park or somewhere in nature and the sun is beaming on you, there's something so, to your point, relaxing and connected. You end up staring at the sky or staring at the, trees or flowers or bees or butterflies or whatever it is, and you just feel so like you've checked out, going on vacation for a few.
And you stop doing and you're just being.
Yeah.
And the dandelion, I love that you said that, because if you really, we as human beings, we've labeled them weeds, but if you actually picked a dandelion and looked at it, it's absolutely beautiful.
It's cool. Unbelievable. That exactly what you made me think of, and that must have happened almost 10 years ago. But man, I will not forget that. When you said that, I'm like, oh, she's so right. So right.
I think it's healing that disconnection. So we're disconnected. So if we're disconnected with ourselves on that level, we're disconnected with others, and then we're disconnected with our earth. So it's kind of, I think, there's so many great quotes that come to mind. The unexamined life is not worth living. I think Aristotle said that. There's a great quote too. When you pray, you're talking to God, and when you meditate, God talks to you. And it's just, allowing that silence and making space in anything in your life. If anytime you're upset or you're frustrated or you feel a negative emotion, if you just back up from it and make space and look at it, you're able to make a better decision. And these are things that are habitual, right? So the way you process events is habitual. Someone cuts you off in traffic, you hit on the horn. That's boom, it's like a reflex. Yeah. Or you just let them go and you go, maybe they're in a rush. I don't know. What's the problem here? So you can create habits that go either way, that serve you or hurt you.
Yeah, that is so true. Oh, my gosh. My goodness, I cannot believe we've actually come to a break, but we're at a break now. Now we got to take a break, and I want people to be able to get in touch with you, but I don't want you people to leave now. The next segment, we're really going to start to get into more of these tools that Michele can talk about to help really pull us into this happiness and this positive energy, and we're also going to give her some time to talk about her book. But before we take our break, Michele, I want you to be able to tell folks how they can connect with you and how they can get that book.
Sure. If you go to my website, www.key2unlock.com, it's key to unlock, but it's the number 2. So it's KEY, the number 2, UNLOCK.com.
Awesome. All right. Don't touch that dial. We'll be back in just one moment.
Hi, this is Frederica Peterson, host of Shifting the Atmosphere with Frederica. Join me every Monday at 5 p.m. as I talk to ordinary people doing some extraordinary things. So if you need a dose of inspiration, motivation, healing, or direction, I guarantee you'll find it here. My guests have some incredible stories of perseverance, determination, and resilience that are sure to give you the perspective and insights and even the skills that are going to help you shift your atmosphere. On social media, I'd love for you to connect with me on Instagram, Facebook, or Twitter at Frederica Peterson. Or to learn more about the show or how to contact me, visit www.shiftingtheatmosphere.net.
we're back. You're listening to Shifting the Atmosphere with Federica, and I'm here with my guest today, Michele Phillips. And we are talking about happiness as a habit, which is a concept that Michele spreads all over the nation, as well as a book that she has written. And it's all around this positive psychology that she's been studying and actually the life that she's been living as well. And so, Michele, before the break, we were talking about getting into some of these tools that would be able to help people. So the question I'm going to ask is, so when you were going through your trials, what is it that made you realize that you didn't have the tools that you needed to recover from your setbacks? And then we talked about that a little bit, but I want to hear a little bit more about these tools.
I think I did have them. I just never put them in that context. So back when I started studying positive psychology and emotional intelligence, it was just because the topic fascinated me. And it's kind of one of those things where I just was reading about it. And it's one thing to read a book, and it's one thing to go to a seminar or a lecture, and then it's another to actually apply it to your life.
Okay.
Right? Because a lot of us, we buy a lot of books, we go to a lot of things, and we don't actually incorporate what we've learned. So what I started doing was looking at the things that I was learning and saying, am I using it? Right? I know apples are better for me than Hershey bars. Nothing against Hershey. I like a good chocolate now and then. I know getting enough sleep is better than, staying up all night and watching crappy TV. And again, I use the term core, like the core of who you are. So if you think of the core of anything, it's the central part of something. And the core of who we are is our mental, physical, spiritual, emotional core, right? So I ask people to look at their habits. What are the things you do for yourself physically? What are your habits around physical habits? What are your mental habits? How do you think? How do you process, perceive negative events? How do you handle setbacks? What are your emotional habits, right? Who's on your support team? And what's your relationship with yourself? And then lastly, your spiritual habits. Kind of where do you go for your spiritual supper? It's not something you go to once a year, once a week. It's something. So what I love about these things, mental, physical, spiritual, and emotional, is they overlap. I always say you could take a walk in the woods with a loved one and hit all four of them.
Wow.
So the more you do, the more you incorporate these habits into your life on a regular basis, the more tools, the stronger you are to get up when life pulls the rug out from under you, and it will pull the rug out from under you.
Yeah, it definitely will. It definitely will. And when it does pull the rug out from under you, sometimes when we lift the rug up, it's a hot mess, right?
And it's having the courage to look.
Yeah, girl, absolutely. And so that when we get there, right, we're in that pain, we want to run. That we do not want to be present. But to your point, that is when it is so important to be present in that, right? So when you're in pain and when your life is a mess and it's tough to be fully present. Talk about that. Like, how do you snap out of it,
Yeah, you have to figure out what is it that, I call it having a bad day emergency plan is one of my habits.
A bad day emergency plan. Talk about that, girl.
Yeah, so before I get into the bad day emergency plan, I remember the nights when loneliness gripped me. I mean, I had been with my first husband since I was 21, so 21 to 41, pretty much with the same person, totally in love with this man, and then, I'd forgotten what it was like to be lonely. And now I'm living in my girlfriend's bedroom, and loneliness it just gripped me. And I remember those nights where I was so exhausted that I was so exhausted and lonely, but I couldn't sleep because I was tormented and I was too tired to get out of bed, right? So you're in this like torture chamber. Mm-hmm. And I remember pulling out my journal, and I actually entitled this one journal, I entitled like the Lonely Little Girl Journal, because I needed a place to put all my fears, all my negativity, all these things that were scaring me. I needed to look at it. And I would just take out this journal and I would write, what if nobody loves me again? What if I'm, wrong? What if this was the guy I should have stayed with? What if I'm making a mistake? What if, I don't know, all the terrible what ifs. And there's something cathartic and peaceful about journaling and writing. Mm-hmm. And then my bad day emergency plan consisted of movies, music, reading. One of my habits is to inspire, motivate, or educate every morning. So every single morning when I get up, I have to read something that inspires, motivates, or educates me. It could be a quick little 2-page passage. It could be, a song I listen to. It could be a book. I do a lot of audiobooks. I say listen to audiobooks in the shower. I have affirming movies that I watch. I do not go to any blow-up-the-world movies. You will not ever see me watching something like that. Anything that I let into my space influences me. So, I have my go-to movies. I watch, I think it's, the one with Queen Latifah, The Holiday?
Oh, yeah, The Holiday. I think
Coach Carter. These are the things I needed to find an affirming movie or something that would lift me out of my own pity.
Yeah.
And again, going to something sad, listening to sad songs, all those things just perpetuate your sadness.
Yes.
So you have to be very vigilant about what you let into your world when you're in a vulnerable place.
Yeah, absolutely. We could certainly be movie partners. There's not a whole lot of us out here.
No. And then your friends, make sure you have this great support system that, you need those people that lift you.
Yes. No, that's so true. That's good. That's good stuff. I like that emergency, that bad day emergency plan. I like that a lot. And so part of the thing that will keep us where we're at in the pain and the mess is complaining. And I know that you've said that complaining is a habit. And my God, that is so true. When you said that to me when we were talking about the show, I said, oh, my God, that is so true. Because once you get going, Lord have mercy, skipping down the road with all your complaints. So how do we break that habit? And how do we get there in the first place? Lord have mercy. Talk about your words. Oh, man.
We first have to see it. I think it's become very acceptable. We're very cynical and sarcastic.
Oh, my God.
So it's become so acceptable. We think, I'm just kidding. Ha ha, it's a joke. Well, it's not really funny, right? And I think we have to really watch our words. Everything in this planet has been brought out by thoughts and words, right? So everything we think becomes this chair I'm sitting on, somebody thought it up and then they built it and, all these things. So they're really important to watch your thoughts, watch your words, catch yourself if you are complaining. And usually there's, I always say, cancel your membership to the Ain't It Awful Club.
Right.
And all of us have been given a free lifetime membership to this club, right? And we think we're bonding and we're just, let's talk about how bad it is. Let's talk about what's going wrong. There's so much going wrong in the world right now. I don't even know where to start, right? But so let's look at what's going right. Let's look at what's working, and let's look at how I can I can be the change I want in the world instead of contributing to what's going wrong. Mm-hmm. So I think first is seeing that you are complaining. Mm-hmm. For me, I used to be I've always been positive, but I was quick to spark.
Okay.
Right? So I come from an Italian-Spanish family, and we're a little, expressive, right? So I thought, that's just the way I am. We're crazy Italian-Spanish people. And when things don't go our way, we yell, we complain, we throw things.
Yeah.
And then I learned I don't have to be that way.
Right.
That I could be very powerful without being forceful. Mm-hmm. And once I took responsibility, and Frederica, when I learned that, I was almost angry that I learned that, because it was so much easier to blame and point fingers.
Sure, yeah. Too much.
Once I had to take responsibility that if I didn't like anything in my life, it was up to me to change it I was like, now I got to get off my butt and do something. So for a lot of us, it's just easier to complain and moan and groan, but, complaining gets you nowhere. It just, you're basically saying there's someplace else I'd rather be, but I'm not worth making the effort to get there.
Right, and it's making your atmosphere very draining. Very draining.
So it's acceptance. Again, if you don't like it, you have to accept it, unless you're going to change it.
Yep. No, that's huge, and I think that's the biggest thing. I think people choose that sometimes, to your point, because the other is just way too hard. They don't even know where to start. That's the big thing. Some people. And that's
why I think what you're doing here is so important. Like you bringing this to the world, you having these conversations. I didn't learn this till my early 30s. Nobody. Wasn't even an option. It was just, we're Spanish and Italian, we're crazy. Okay. And then, I went to a seminar and I was like, I don't have to be this way. Nobody ever told me that.
That's right. The choice thing, man. That sometimes people go, what? I have a choice. Yes, you have a choice.
Having the conversation and saying, what do you choose right now? It's unfair. It's unfair. And it's always been unfair, and it's still unfair. And I don't have the problem. I can't solve the problems of the world. I don't have all the solutions, but I know what I have the responsibility for myself I call myself a spiritual activist, as someone who is here on the planet to raise consciousness, to help people see that they have more power than they believe they do.
Yes, that is so true. And so, going back to what we were saying, it's tough, right, to get this started. And it seems like you have started developing a good plan. You've got some great nuggets here that you've been talking about, like the bad day emergency plan, waking up with intention, with the inspiration, and, being motivated and educated. All of these things you're putting in place in order to be able to be intentional about your happiness. So how can people develop a plan for themselves? Because I think it's probably personal, whatever that plan looks like for them, but I'm sure that there's some framework that you could probably give them.
Yeah, basically what I outline in my book is what I call the 90-day challenge. And my thinking is, we're coming again upon the holidays, and a lot of people think, on January 1st, they're going to change everything. They're going to start liking exercise, and they're not going to like chocolate anymore. And that's unfortunately not the way it works. So the 90-day challenge, what I ask people to do is just pick one thing, right? Frederica, if everyone listening to us right now picked one thing, and if you think about your habits mentally, physically, spiritually, and emotionally, and I'll give you an example of each. Physical, you could say, I'm going to create a habit of getting 8 hours or whatever you need. I'm going to get a good night's sleep. Or I'm going to work out, 5 times a week. I'm going to walk in the woods. Emotionally, I am going to spend time in self-reflection. I'm going to turn off the news and turn off the internet, and I'm going to spend time with myself, with my God, my universe, my journal, whatever it is, my thoughts. One thing, I'm going to eat apples. I'm going to meditate. I'm going to get enough sleep at night, and just do that one thing. I think people get so excited they want to do everything at once. And I say to you, just do one thing. Promise me for the next 90 days you are going to spend time in self-reflection, right? Even if it's only 10 minutes. After 90 days, it becomes something you do without thinking. Habits are the things you do without any thought. And that's the beauty of habits. They run your life without you even realizing it. So once self-reflection becomes a habit, now the next 90 days you eat an apple a day. So now you're meditating or journaling or whatever, and you're self-reflecting, and now you're eating apples. And then 90 days after that, you start, doing a walk around the block. You start working on your body. And then what happens is in 5 years, if you only do one thing every 90 days, in 5 years you have 20 positive, powerful habits helping you cope, leading you in the direction you need to go, versus trying to do everything at once and failing.
Yes, that is great stuff. Man, oh man. I think that is doable to me. You're taking things in small chunks, and you're working that smaller muscle to be able to, to create a larger atmosphere for yourself that's positive. That you're
so true. Some of my high school friends are like, who are you? And I'm like, but this is not just, I didn't wake up one day like this. It's years and years of looking at myself in the mirror and saying, how can I be a better person?
Absolutely. Oh, my God. This is a great segue, because I know we've been referencing the book, and I want us to talk about this book because this is good stuff. I have a copy of it myself, and it's really, really good stuff. And so I want to take some time for you to talk about the book. So let's kind of jump into the conversation here, and then we'll take a break. But I want to get folks started on what this book is about.
All the things I've been talking about are in the book, maybe not to the depth we've talked about them, but everyone has to start somewhere. And the big thing I tell people is this book is not an overnight fix, and that's, I think, people always want the pill. Give me the pill. Give me, just fix me. It's a commitment. And if you are, if you really, truly want to be happier and know who you are at the deepest level, because here's the thing, too. I think I'm all over the map here because my brain is just clicking. Happy people are so integral to this planet right now because we have so much unhappiness, we have so much fear, and a happy person raises the vibration of every other person around them. So the more you can look at your own habits, the things you do, are you a complainer? Are you taking care of your body? How do you nurture your relationship with yourself? The more you can look at that for yourself and then start to build, you're helping the planet. You're helping humanity. And I think the more you read my book, my book is written from my perspective because that's the only lens, right, I have. So it's basically 44 habits that are my habits. A lot of them overlap, and they're things like everything we've been talking about right now. Guide your thoughts all day long. Walk in the woods, take care of your body. Take responsibility for your energy. And drink water. I mean, it's all over the map.
Yeah.
But you read the book, I'll give you a little insight to how I got to bringing this habit into my life. And then I also give you tools. At the end of each chapter, it says, here's how you can make it a habit. So I just opened to page 70 in my book. The habit is celebrate your wins. I quoted Oprah here. The more you praise and celebrate your life, the more there is in life to celebrate. And I talk about my journey, about how I did that. And at the end, it's how do you celebrate? How do you make it a habit? You keep a grateful log. You take a gratitude walk. You write a grateful letter. And I give an example in the chapter of how I wrote a gratitude letter to my parents. You take some time, and I just happen to open this page, right? The universe always works for us. Take some time at night before bed or early in the morning to count your blessings. And these things sound so cliche, but it is impossible for you to keep counting your blessings and stay in a bad mood.
Yeah. Oh, gosh, that's so true. I love that. And we don't do that. We always want to look at the 10% that we don't have when 90% of our life might be going great. We want to look at the 10% that isn't. Always.
Exactly. I always say, what's going right in your life right now?
Yeah, that's awesome. That's great.
So my book is an attempt to get you to just start to look at these things in your life and saying, one of my habit 45 here is use your words wisely.
Yeah.
If someone were to pay you 10 cents for every kind word you ever spoke and collect from you 5 cents for every unkind word, would you be rich or poor? So I try to give you, the background, the metaphor, and then also the actual tool, like how can you incorporate? So it's not just this metaphorical idea. It's, how can you actually put this into your life?
Yeah. This is good. I want to know, I know we're coming up on a break soon, so I'm sure some people out there want to get this book. So how do they get their hands on this book, Michele?
Yeah, so again, there's two ways, and I'll give it, it's on Amazon, but you can also go to my website, www.keytounlock.com. That's www.key2unlock.com. If you order it directly from me, a form will pop up, and you could say, I want you to write it to my husband, Dave. I want you to write it to my son, my son, Joe. So I can personalize it if you order it from my website, but it is available, Amazon, Barnes & Noble. It's a great gift for the holidays because it's most people want to start this journey in January. We only just started yesterday, but that's another story.
Yeah, no, true. So, okay, great. So when we come back from the break, Michele's going to share a little bit with somebody out there that may be really struggling with happiness, maybe down in the dumps. And I'm just going to give her an opportunity to kind of speak to someone that might be in that place to give you some encouragement. We're also going to talk about some events that she has coming up because maybe you'll be able to go check her out and come to one of her happiness workshops. So I want you to hold tight. You're listening to Shifting the Atmosphere with Federica. I'm here with Michele Phillips. We're talking about her book, Happiness is a Habit. We'll be back in just a moment.
Hi, this is Federica Peterson of Shifting the Atmosphere with Federica, and I want to share an empowering moment with you about the power of choice. With dreams come vision, and with vision comes choices. Every choice you make will either draw you closer or further away from the vision you have for your life, your career, your relationships. The list goes on. Being intentional about the steps you take to get closer to the things you want comes down to one small thing: choices. So here are 5 basic principles about choices. 1, everyone has the power to choose. 2, you wake up every day with a choice. 3, excuses are just that. A choice is a choice. 4, what a difference a choice makes. And 5, if you didn't have a choice, who'd you give it to? These are thoughts to live by, and this has been Federica Peterson of Shifting the Atmosphere with Federica. You can catch my show right here every Monday at 5 p.m.
I'm back. This is Federica, and you are listening to Shifting the Atmosphere with Federica, and I'm here today with my guest, Michele Phillips, and we're talking about her book and her lifestyle of happiness being a habit. Happiness is a habit. And before we finished up with the last segment, I was saying there's somebody out there I know that's listening today that really needed to hear this message from Michele. I mean, we're starting off at the beginning of the year. This is when we put the weight of the world on our shoulders with too many goals that we know we're not going to meet, right? But we've been talking about some things around happiness because sometimes we don't focus on that. We focus on everything that we think is going to make us happy. But happiness comes from the core. I think anybody who's been listening to the show today has probably been able to get that from the message that we've been talking about. And so, Michele, maybe somebody's life on this call has spiraled so far out of control, they don't even know where to start. How would you encourage them today? What would you say?
Yeah, if I think of, being like at that depth of despair or just not seeing any way out, the first thing I would do is just ask you to put your hand on your chest and, feel your own heartbeat. Give thanks that you are here and that you're important and that you're not a mistake or an accident and that you actually have there's a reason for you being on this planet and we need you. And then to really start by centering yourself in what I call being. A lot of times what creates our unhappiness and what creates our depression is our thoughts that run away from us. It's like this bad train going down the track and you could take, like I said before, you could take 5 minutes and think of every negative thought in the world and never get out of bed again.
Yeah.
You could take that same 10 minutes and think of every good thought. And most of our thoughts, so if you take your senses, like what am I seeing right now? What am I smelling? What am I feeling? In the present moment, you could be homeless, right? You could be sitting on a street corner right now. Let's just go there, right? But in the present moment, most of your problems are in your mind. You're projecting. Fear is always a projection of something that might happen in the future. And right now in this present moment, you're sitting on a street corner on a sunny day in New York or whoever's listening to me. So it's really and then saying, okay, so this is the reality of right now, and I'm okay in this moment. What's a step I need to take in the right direction? Yeah. Right? And it might be, talking to a friend. It might be finding a book. And again, if you feel like you don't have anyone to turn to, there are support groups out there. Like you don't have to know someone personally. There's also libraries where books are free and that you could I call them friends of the mind. You could go someplace and find something that's going to give you hope to take the next step and really know that there's help out there if you want it, right? But I think the first thing is realizing that each one of us has to take responsibility for saying that where I am in my life was created by my thoughts, was created by my actions. It doesn't make it right. It doesn't make it wrong. It is what it is, right? We're not placing blame or anything, but what do I need to do to move forward?
Yes. That's great. I think that's good, and I think that really will resonate with people. And, man, we've talked about so much on this call today. Is there anything that you're really passionate about that we may not have been able to have the opportunity to touch on just based on where the conversation has been going, that you want to pull out here? Any testimonial maybe that's come from your workshops or things that can show people how this can really work? I mean, we know it's worked for you, but have you been able to see that in any of your clients, which I'm sure you have, but are there any that you could talk to us about today?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I do. I do workshops all over the country. I do executive coaching, and I think the biggest thing I do when I work with people is get them to self-reflect. All of my clients, when they start to work with me, they get a journal. Yeah. Men included. Men are like, what do you want me to keep, a diary? I'm like, no, it's not a diary. There's a difference. A diary is, dear diary, today I got up and, went to the farm. A journal is just a place for you to reflect on your thoughts, to reflect on who you are. And I think to be a leader in your own life, you have to connect your head to your heart. Mm-hmm. And I think that's the biggest gift I'm able to give people, because I work with a lot of people in corporations who I call them, we have a lot of corporate talking heads, unfortunately, and people are spewing the latest, what they were told to believe, right? Here's what they told me to believe or say. And I ask people, if you really think of a leader in your life that you admire, what you admire about them is they had a fire in them. They had a passion about something they believed in so strongly that people wanted to follow them, right? They didn't follow them because they had to. So I ask people, if you want to be that leader in your life, connect your head to your heart. Like right now, I'm on my desk. I have Maya Angelou's on my desk right now. I have her book sitting in front of me because that's my kind of, I have the book Rainbow in the Cloud. It's sitting here on my desk because the woman's written 80-something books. I'm thinking, okay, if she could do it, I could do it. And I ask people, I think the biggest gift I give people is just getting to know themselves again. It's so funny, like we go on these retreats, let's go up in the mountains to get to be with ourselves.
Right.
You don't have to go up on a mountain to be with yourself. Right? We go away from our home to get in touch with ourselves.
Yeah.
So the biggest gift I give my clients is for them to get in touch with themselves.
Mm-hmm. That's good. That's huge. And so tell us what projects you got coming up.
Oh, goodness. So most of my projects are within corporations, right, where I'm inside corporations. So if anyone's listening, you work at a corporation and you'd love to bring me in, I do a lot of learning and development around this topic and other topics, really about authentic communications, authentic leadership, that type of thing. Publicly, I'm actually hosting I normally do one public forum a month. And so if you go on my website also and you go under Connect, you will be able to subscribe to my blog, and then you'll get my monthly communication where I tell you where I am going to be once a month. Tonight I'm doing a gratitude circle at my home, so that's tonight's event. I'm taking December off to be with family and friends, and then I'll be back in January, but I have not put it on the calendar. So if you subscribe to my blog, you'll get to know where I'm going to be. But what I do a lot of times once a month is I do what I call happy hours, where the price of admission is a piece of good news. I run gratitude circles. I also do vision boarding and goal setting, and this is in addition, and the happiness workshops in addition to my corporate work. So please go to www.keytounlock.com, go to Connect, subscribe to my blog, and then you'll be abreast of any public events I'm doing.
Perfect. Well, Michele, this has been wonderful. So I think you were mentioning there may be another book project coming.
It's sitting right here. I've got 260 pages sitting in front of me, yes. Then I just have to edit one more time, get to the publisher, and so I don't have a date, but there is another book coming, and it's more along the same, it's a deeper dive into, I want you to find your own voice. I don't want you to just take on the voice that you heard on the news or take on the voice. What's your voice? I want you to own that. And the more you know yourself, the more you could be that change in the world and own who you are.
Well, then you have to come back on when your book launches, because I would love to hear all about it. And I'm sure our listeners as well.
I would love to do that, Frederica.
Yeah, authentic voice. That's I'm all about authenticity. That's a big thing that I work with my clients on as well, and that's huge.
Well, like attracts like. That's why we're here, right?
Yeah, absolutely. So, my goodness, I cannot believe how fast the time has flown, and I'm so thankful that you were able to join us today. So, one last time, tell our listeners how they can connect with you, follow you, get your book, everything.
Yeah, please go to my website, www.keytounlock.com. Again, it's the number 2. Can't stress that enough. It's my name is Michele Phillips. You can also find me on Facebook, Twitter, all those Instagram. My company is Key Performance. And if you go to my website and you go to Connect and blog, you can get on my mailing list and then know where I'll be next, where I'm speaking, and my monthly events. I always say I would love to see your smiling face, because we need more light in this world, and we need to keep our lights shining, and I know it's been difficult, and we can't let them dim, especially at this crucial time in history.
Absolutely. Michele, it's been a pleasure having you. One of these days I'm going to be able to see you and give you a big hug. We haven't seen each other in so long, but I'm so excited for the work you're doing and so proud of you, and congratulations on everything.
Thank you so much. I'm so happy we connected, and thank God for social media that we are in this place today. So It's a privilege and an honor for me to be here with you today. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Listeners, I encourage you to reach out to me on my Facebook page at Shifting the Atmosphere with Federica. Here you can participate in discussions or find information on upcoming shows. I encourage you to visit my new website, www.shiftingtheatmosphere.net. Here you'll find information about upcoming shows and events and have access to past shows. Be sure to pick up my best-selling book, Breakthrough Leadership, available on Amazon.com, BarnesandNoble.com, and iBooks. Until next time, be well and be blessed.